This is Moog733 and welcome to my channel once again. Today we're going to do another dungeon run, focusing on the paladin and learning how to do uh, the tank job. And it looks like today we're going to go ahead and do Halitali, which is a level 20 dungeon. And we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. Here in Ildashire, let's go ahead and queue it up and see who we get. Now, Halitali, if you're a low-level player, you tend to do this dungeon quite a bit. Do it over and over and over again, really. Spent a lot of time grinding this dungeon when we were working on all of our classes, trying to get everything to level 30. As you can see, I'm at 30 and above on just about everything, including these, which I've hit 50 on all. Here we go. Now, Halitali is pretty straightforward. You basically just run right through it, but when you're in lower levels and you're starting to get to where I am now, it's got a little bit more challenging, especially if you have people who aren't level synced, like our white mage. Our conjurer is not even a white mage yet. They have not level synced, which means this is probably their first time. And then you have here, this person here is fairly new. They still have the leaf. See, they don't have the experience really in anything. Their Dragoon is level 48, and that's what they've been specializing in, whereas Lily has very similar situation, very low levels on everything, so this should be an interesting run for them. So let's give it a go. So when you're working with people who haven't done as much, you're going to have a hard time with the tank, keeping enmity especially. Go for the bigger ones first. It's going to work out a lot better for you. Flash is your best friend at this low of a level, keeping their attention on the enemies. Because if you watch, the Heckler Imp's HP is dropping, which means the DPS is going after somebody they're not supposed to. So now I got to switch to make sure it doesn't go after the healer. So I'll go ahead and kill it first, and then switch back to the Doctor. Now, I won't have as much problems keeping enmity as the rest of the low-level tank will have. It's going to be a lot easier for me. Now, since I have several new people, they're probably here for the experience, so I'm going to be nice, and I'm actually going to kill the enemies and grab the loot. Mainly because they'll probably want it, even though I have no interest in it. See, now this time the DPS is following my lead and they're going after the big one like I was doing on the last round. But see, the white mage is attacking my imp, which is bad. Now they've changed quite a few things since this last update. The mechanics for the tank has changed quite a bit. You don't have the problem of running out of MP like we did before. It used to be really bad. So somebody's going to go after that chest. Or not. You're not interested. That's amazing. Nope, see, there they go. They usually do. Now, it's gotten a lot easier to maintain MP. You're not having to spam flash. If you run out of MP as a paladin at low levels, it's because you're using flash too often. You shouldn't need to do it that often. And watch out for bombs. Bombs will insta-kill you if you're low level. Really, you just need to hit them a couple of times and then let them do their thing. They'll end up blowing up and you won't have to worry about them. You'll still get the experience for killing them. Just don't get caught in the blast because you'll feel really stupid. So if you watch, we'll take out the Heckler Imp. And I'm just going to let that thing go. See? There it goes. So it's going to blow up. And nobody got hit, but he died. You still get the XP for it. So don't waste your time trying to kill him. You know, always try to go out with with the enemy that's going to do the most damage, or if you like, go for the enemies that you can kill the fastest. You know, there's a lot of tanks that go for speed, especially in speed runs. They'll focus on those weaker guys because they're much easier to kill. So you're taking less damage, which makes your overall HP requirements for the healer to heal you much easier. I like taking out the heavy ones first because then it's just really quick to take out the weak guys. And I'm not taking massive amounts of damage every time. But it's kind of like a preference thing, especially in a lower dungeon like this. Any enemy that does an AoE or some sort of attack that's going to hit a lot of people, especially like a cone attack. See, now that I'm sitting there pushing the wrong button and I wasn't paying attention. So it caused a little bit of a problem there, but it's not a big deal. Easily recoverable if you just maintain some patience, stay on top of it, make sure that the enemies are actually after you and not one of the other players. I'm not sure why, but the healer is not doing a very good job keeping me alive. I don't know why. See, like just now, the bombs went after the healer. Which is not good at all. The healer's actually being kind of smart, reserving their MP. See, now they both blow up, and we're good. So let's keep going. This dungeon's incredibly straightforward until you get to the bosses. This is the first dungeon where some real mechanics starts to get introduced, and I'll go over that stuff. It'll be pretty useful so you don't look like a total noob when you're in here running this dungeon. When you get into the hard mode, that's when things start to get really interesting, but these are so easy. You can actually just kind of burn through the bosses if you know what you're doing when you come in here. Being a tank is not as hard as a lot of people like to make it out to be, especially if you're just patient and you take your time. Okay, there we go. So here comes the first boss. Now this is the burn boss. Now I'm going to tell the party, since we have a couple of noobs, just focus on boss. Ignore ads. Now I'm saying this because the noobs will run after the ads, and if everyone's new, going after the ads can be very beneficial because you do take a lot of damage, but the healer should be able to do her AoE healing spell and keep everybody pretty healthy and not have an issue. So you can just sit here and just wail on it just over and over again, and it'll be dead before you know it. So let's just go ahead and kill this thing. Now, you got to remember that enmity is based off of your abilities that you're using, so make sure you're using your combos. I can't stress this enough because I've seen so many tanks just keep spamming their hard-hitting attack. Like down here, Rage of Halone. I've seen tanks just spam this over and over again, but the problem is it doesn't do as much enmity if it's not in a combo. It just doesn't. So you could do that all you want, and you're not going to get the benefits that you should. But if you combo it, each one of these does enmity. So you do your fast blade, and then you got enmity, enmity. And then you'll be fine. You won't ever have to struggle with it. And then every once in a while, if there's ads in, you throw flash in, you're good to go. So as you can see on this, the healer's taking some damage. But they should be doing, see, they're doing cure, and that's where they're messing up. They're not doing the AoE. But they're new, so eventually, with some experience, they'll get used to doing the AoE spell here. But they're not. But see there, it's dead. It's super easy. So when you're done, you jump on this platform and you click on the little flame on the inside. Alright, so now I don't need the loot. The loot here is actually really good for a level 20, especially if you're starting out. So greet it if you need it, but I don't need that stuff. When you start doing crafting, you can desynth a lot of that stuff to help boost your skill levels. But if you're not familiar with it, I wouldn't worry about it. So in this area, the cobras are going to be the main concern. Now see just there, I switched from one mantis to the other because they're almost dead. So I already knew the enmity was going to stick on me while they're finishing them off. So I can start on the next enemy and start building enmity on that enemy. And when it's almost dead, you can actually stop what you're doing and start running off. Now in this zone, you got to pull the chain winches. I think there's 5 or 6 of them. You got to make sure you get all of them, otherwise the door won't open up for you. So look, it's almost dead, so I'm going to switch to the next one. I'm going to build up some enmity on it. That'll also let the other guys know which one I'm attacking, but see, there she goes. She went and corrected herself. Now I'm going to switch, and I'm going to go to the other one. Hopefully, it'll die before they switch to one of the other players. And there you go. So over here, you got the Python. That's your focus. That needs to be your priority. Python does poison damage, and it has an AoE that you need to watch out for. It tends to do the most damage, so take it out fast and quick. Don't worry about the other two until it's dead. Now it's almost dead, so I'm switching. Now the Dragoons just split up. So this could cause a problem for me, and if I wait and just keep hitting the one I'm on, what'll happen is the enmity from the other Mantis may switch to that other Dragoon, but he was able to kill it without doing that. So I'm doing well on enmity. Now, that's mostly because I'm wearing level 50 gear. You know, if I was wearing level 15 or level 20 gear, it would be a completely different story. So when you're in this dungeon, don't freak out. You know, it's going to happen to you over and over again until your gear and your levels start to get higher and higher. The early dungeons are really hard to keep enmity. Now see, I missed that chain winch. Now I went and did that to myself because I'm sitting here talking. But it's not a big deal. Now let's see if the healer keeps. The healer's doing a good job keeping me alive. They shouldn't have too much problem. If you watch my hit points, they're not dropping drastically. That's because of my gear. I'm not going to take huge hits from these enemies. Now they're going to hurt me, but you're not going to see drastic drops in your HP. When you're wearing level 20 gear, it will be huge amounts. So don't get yourself caught in a situation when you're taking on 6 enemies unless you're the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight can handle it because they do have an HP drain move. You don't have that with a Paladin. Now this guy here is by himself. You can sit here and kill him yourself, but I actually recommend just grabbing him and then taking him down the hill to these guys and then switch over to the Python. And get a couple of hits on him. Alright, and then switch to the Python. Now, if you notice I keep using this fight or flight, that boosts my damage output. Try to make sure you keep that up at all times. Alright, so he's almost dead. Switch to the next one. And somebody went and hit him. So he's almost dead. Now I'm switching. Now, you've got Rampart and Awareness, which, you know, does a lot for you as far as damage mitigation. I don't worry about that stuff too much until I'm in a boss fight. You'll see me use these. Now this, you just hit it and then run away. That's all you got to do. Hit it and run away and you're done. Alright, now there is a chest down that way. It's useless. There's no point in getting it. Now this part, there's 2 cobras. Now you can fight all 4 at once, or you can give your healer a break, especially if they're low on MP, and kill it by itself. Since they're fairly new, I'm going to get it mostly dead and then go and get the next group. So if you time it right, it works out pretty seamlessly. Go ahead and knock this guy out. Now I'm taking quite a bit of damage, so I'm going to go ahead and use Rampart and Awareness to kind of give the healer some time to keep me alive. See, now one of the DPS had focused on that Mantis, which was not the enemy I was fighting, and they ended up taking most of the damage from me. In a low dungeon like this, I'm not going to fret about it. A lot of tanks get real mad about that, so if you're playing as a DPS or the healer, you're going to see the tank complain. I don't complain, I just do whatever I need to do and I just keep moving. You know, if you're a DPS and you're not going to follow the tank's lead, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's on you. You know, you should use some common sense that you're going to be pulling enmity if you're not attacking the right enemy. But you're going to have that a lot with Dragoons especially, because they wear armor that's similar to tank gear. Now, see, the healer attracted that group of enemies. I was trying to keep it close to the wench, but it didn't work. So on this one, I'm going to be spamming flash quite a bit just to make sure they stay on me. Now, the healer's doing a pretty good job keeping up. You know, my health isn't dropping too ridiculously low. They almost died there for a second. But that's because they pulled the enemies before I could spot that the enemies had gotten pulled. You know, as a tank, you know, you have to be really aware of that stuff, and I kind of had a food bar, mostly because I'm talking and not really paying attention to what I'm doing. So here, this boss, it's actually a dragon, lightning based. Doesn't really make much of a difference at this low level, but he's going to charge the water. So your goal as a tank is to pull him and get on the ramp. Everybody who's done this is going to know to be up here on the ramp, because he's going to turn the water into an electrocution attack. And you'll see that here in just a second. Alright, so there he goes. Now he's going to become invulnerable here in a second. And there it goes. It's lit up. You're going to have these lightning sprites come out. They're real easy. Just hit them a couple of times and watch out for the first AoE that drops. There's no point trying to grab enmity. It doesn't do you any good. So don't bother wasting flash. Just focus on damage. Alright, as soon as this last one dies, he's going to come running back. Just be ready. So you're the first one he hits. I like to start off with a flash just to make sure that his enmity's maxed out on me. And just whack at him. And you just keep, it's like rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You just do the same thing over and over again. Come on. Alright, now that's done, this last part, he's not going to do it again, so you just jump in and just pummel him. Just take him out. If you wanted to, at this point, you could have a DPS use Link Break. They're usually so easy, I don't bother with it, but like I said, if you're early on and you're a party of fairly new players, it might not be a bad idea to help speed things up. Alright, so again with the loot, you know, Doctor's Robe is pretty good for Mage. Aetherial Gauntlets, I wore those on my tanks for a long time when I was leveling them up all to 30, so it's not bad gear. Definitely not something I need. Alright, so this area's got a lot of bombs in it. Like before, hit the bomb a couple times so it focuses on you, and then just switch back over to the beak. And when it blows up, just get out of the way. Although I may end up killing this one. Yep. Alright, so you don't have to kill all the enemies in this room, actually. If you run along this wall and carefully get to the door, you can open it without getting attacked, but usually somebody does. Now let's see if I go to open the door. Do you guys want to kill these? Yep, see? They all want to go. So we're just going to go. There's a hidden lizard right in the middle, a pisty. So you don't want to run out to the middle till all the ads are done in that room. Alright, so this boss is actually super easy if you know what you're doing. So I like to put a mark here, right there. Because there's a fire sprite that spawns. It's actually going to be the enemies that you have to kill to bring this boss's damage down. So he's going to put a shield up. And so I'll hit him. I'll bring him over here. And you want to fight him right in front of this thing. And then you run over here and you kill these fire sprites. Once all three of these fire sprites are dead, his shield will go down. And then he's down. Now see that the other guy is attacking the ads, it's not necessary. The only ones you gotta worry about are the ones at A, that's it. These are the only ones. I know that, and then at this point you could just keep hitting him until he's dead. Really super straightforward. So right there I used my moves to help mitigate some of the damage I'm taking. It'll make the white mage's job just a little bit easier. Wasn't really necessary, so there you go. The dungeon's done already. The white mage did pretty good, so I'm going to give her the accommodation. Be nice, give a DPS accommodation every once in a while, because if you're playing DPS all the time, it's really hard to get that. So Doctor's Fork, and I'm gone. So let's see, did I get any accommodation? So I got one accommodation, so somebody at least thought I was doing a good job. Okay. And that's it for Halitali. Thank you for joining me. If you liked my video, please subscribe. I'm doing videos daily, so keep an eye out. Look out for more videos. I'm going to do Paladin, Black Mage, and probably Dark Knight first, and start expanding into the other jobs as I finish off all my other classes, and try to walk you through the mechanics of each one, because there's been a lot of changes. And for those new people joining into the game, this is an awesome game with a lot of content. There's a lot of stuff to go over. So I'm going to try and touch base on all that stuff. I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thanks for coming.